Guys, this is Post Rolls Jiu-Jitsu podcast where we train, we roll, and we chat about it later with some amazing guests. Today I have Jason Kramer, who's a former district attorney and prosecutor, and of course black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and he has some amazing insights as to how Jiu-Jitsu might apply to those positions. Guys, like and subscribe, donkey punch that alert bell so you get the latest stuff. Leave us a review if you can and you like our content, and check out our sponsors, Prism Plus, Octagon Payments, Breath Mastery for Jiu-Jitsu, my course, and I have a new course coming out on the Breath Fitness School for everyone, not just Jiu-Jitsu. On to the show.
Kidding me? You can't Niba?
So you pretty much flow with the goal.
I come to the right place then.
Post Rolls Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
Here we go. Post Rolls podcast. We've been rolling, and now we're gonna podcast. Professor Jason Kramer, baby, what's up? How are you,
like
sir?
if it was Portuguese, it'd be Poshe holes.
Post Rolls podcast is what we're doing right now. So this is awesome. This is the On the Road podcast. Our Professor Nick Angeloni is busy. He's doing stuff. So we're doing this on the road now, and we're gonna have a bunch of fun. My friend Jason has done Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, sir. How long have you been Jiu-Jitsu?
July 31st, 2010 to now.
Well, it's very specific. Why? What in the world? What happened that day? You were robbed or something?
No, that was the intro class. I remember that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember. I always think of anniversaries, so that's one. It's
Fair
important
enough.
to me. So it's like every time that kind of comes around, I don't always kind of.
What do you do? You celebrate?
No, I just kind of reflect because I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah. This is an honest podcast, by the way. So we keep it honest here. No lies are involved.
Well,
this isn't fake news.
So I remember the first couple of UFCs because they were in Denver, where I'm from.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking I wanted to do jiu-jitsu, but there was no place to do it back then. And I knew guys that went to that, and I was like, man, I thought it was gonna be some tough man contest. So I was like, I don't want to go. I regret that now, but so I think so then eventually I wanted to start. I put it off for a long time. After school, I moved back to Colorado, and I drove past Easton Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for
Did you?
6 years.
Just licking your lips like?
No. I was afraid to go in.
Were you really?
Oh yeah.
Easton Jiu-Jitsu is kind of. Their logo is like a bulldog or something, isn't
It's
it?
a big tiger.
Yeah.
No, it's great people, great place. My coaches, Amal, Easton, and so Elliot was still in the UFC at the time.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so the little academy
Fireman.
we had on Broadway Street, we called the favela because it was, just that part of town. And small little place, and it was. I remember Elliot was in there, and Tyrone Glover, and Josh Ford, Dwayne Ludwig, Shane Carwin.
Oh my God!
I got no
You had
business.
Shane Carwin in there
I got
too,
no business
and Dwayne
going.
Ludwig?
I got no business going into
Yeah,
this place.
yeah.
And
That's also a Nick's guy.
Oh,
is
really?
Dwayne. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah.
And so I was super intimidated and didn't want to go in. And finally, my wife said, stop talking about it, just go. And so I signed up, and Larry
So we
King
have-
did my interest
You
class.
have your wife to thank for this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Respect.
Thank you, sir. And so I jumped in, and it was also kind of probably like a lot of people. I lifted a lot of weights at the time. I'm not sure that this shit's real.
You did beefcake.
I did,
Yeah.
and then so I did an intro class, and I was into it, and I was like, well, we'll kind of see, maybe I'll stick around for a couple years and see if this is a thing or not. And there used to be a class at 8 o'clock at night, and I would get off work and I would go. But because it was so late, I was usually the only person that went. And so it was
early.
me and Antonio Fredelis, Professor Junior, and
What year? What's this?
2010.
Okay.
And
yeah.
so Junior's not that big of a guy. So I'm like, okay, if I can just get him off of me,
Yeah.
this
Then
whole
you win.
thing's bullshit. I don't have
Yeah.
to waste my time. There's no chance. I mean, there's no chance. And I'm like, okay, this is a for real thing.
Nice.
And
You
then-
broke through those muscles, and here we are. We just trained at Surfite.
Oh man.
Yes,
So
in Del
good.
Mar, near the beach. Professor Majid taught
Coolest
class
guy.
today. And,
Coolest guy. Him
Yeah,
and,
so
Pete the Greek
good.
out there.
Pete
The whole
Greek
room is
was
awesome.
there. That's right. And Majid caught me in the the last the baseball choke from the bottom.
Who would have guessed?
What do you call that? Like the last reserve, the Hail Mary baseball choke.
I don't know. I was cheering him on though.
Were you?
I was.
Son of a biscuit. I defended 2, and then he caught me on the 3rd one. Much respect, Professor. That was awesome.
So was fun.
Yeah. So, dude, and you're how long have you been a prosecutor?
Same time, 2010. So I started.
Oh, really?
I started practicing in 2004.
And then career paths.
Yeah, I started off as a law clerk, like a lot of people out of law school. And then I went to a firm for about 5 months. The first day I was there, I knew I didn't want to be there. It was like
Really?
Well, you see the people you work with, and you're like, okay, if I stay here 10 years from now, I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah, and they were
And
miserable.
I just didn't. That just wasn't my life, you know. Like the money's good and all that kind of stuff, but it just wasn't. It wasn't for me. So I went to the city attorney's office, did civil litigation, where defended mostly police and sheriff when they got sued. So a lot of car crashes, a lot of shootings. Like
they get sued for car crashes?
So much. Cops are the worst drivers ever.
Oh my God!
They're the
it's
worst.
them getting in car crashes. I thought you meant for like the incident.
Oh no! They crash and not just
in their police car
all the time, and not just the police, but also public works and I mean, if you think about any municipality, most of their job is in the public, right? So, I mean, it never fails. Like I'd have a garbage truck that ran into somebody's garage and they sue the city, or you have police in a pursuit and it either causes a crash or something. Like we had one where someone died. You know,
they're looking for big money from the city too.
Yeah, they get it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
do they?
They can. Yeah, sure.
Oh, unless you're on the case.
No. I mean, let's be honest, man. If the liability's legit, then I own it.
Yeah.
Like, right?
For sure.
Make it right when possible. So did that, and then moved over to the DA's office in 2010. I was a DA until 22. I did
district attorney.
Yep.
Okay.
Or I did.
Don't hit me with acronyms, man. All I know is jiu-jitsu. Keep it.
All right.
This is for simple folk that's listening.
So everything you can think of, from like a ton of domestic violence. I spent a lot of my career on sex assaults on children and homicides. And then I did that for a while. Took a little break around 21, 22, and then worked for a nonprofit for a little bit representing victims, which was great, super satisfying. And then I went back to the city attorney's office and their prosecution team, and now I run a couple of teams of prosecutors and trying to just teach them the right way to do things and get after it.
Respect.
And, tons of DV, domestic violence.
In domestic violence cases, how often do guys like fare well? Does it ever happen to like?
Farewell?
Is it? Oh yeah, because it seems like if something happens, the gal, everyone just believes her.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
That happens.
Yeah.
But this is where
I don't know anything about it.
No, that's a really smart question, because I think you got to be a good ethical prosecutor obsessed with the truth. Like, let me give you an example.
Okay.
This was a long time ago, but I remember, the defense lawyers always tell you the same thing. Like, he's not good for it. Like, you guys are charging an innocent man. Like, shouldn't do that. Like, you hear that every day.
Yeah.
So this guy, who's a doctor of some kind, his wife's a doctor too, was accused of abusing her.
Okay.
And she's in the courtroom, and she's a battle axe, man. Like, just, like, tough lady. Like, just has that vibe, right?
Yeah.
And then this guy walks in, and he's a mope.
Really?
I'm like, there's no way.
Really?
So I start peeling it back. They're going through a divorce. They're in the middle of a child custody thing.
And who are you defending? The guy?
I'm not defending anybody. I don't have any clients. I just represent the city. I represent the state.
I see.
And so, you kind of dig into this, and you're like, all right, I think she's making things up so she can win in their child custody thing. So I wound up dismissing the case.
Yeah.
But you also wind up with a lot of people that they're good for it. And, when you go to a jury, it's either guilty or not guilty. There's no such thing as innocent, right? I mean, because they're presumed innocent.
You're either guilty or just a kind of bit guilty.
Or not guilty. So, for example, I could prosecute you,
Yeah.
and you could be acquitted.
Oh.
You could be acquitted, not guilty.
Yeah.
But you still could have done it.
Oh.
But maybe I didn't prove the elements of that crime beyond a reasonable doubt.
I see.
Which is awesome, because the burden should be on the government to the highest possible standard. And if it's not all there, you're out. So it works out a lot for it works out a lot for people, because it's weighted heavily in favor of the accused, and it should be. And we're unique. Like I think 98% of all jury trials happen in America. They don't happen anywhere else.
You got to be kidding me.
No, you go to England.
Yeah.
And there's no presumption of innocence, man.
No.
Like if you get charged, you're
I've heard
sitting in a
that.
penalty box in the middle of the courtroom, and you're presumed guilty.
That's wild.
Yeah.
They're putting people in jail for like social media posts right now.
So they have an accusatory system. We
Yeah.
have an adversarial system. So
I had no idea.
So you don't have to do a thing. You're presumed innocent. You can show up, play tic-tac-toe, you don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
It's exactly how it should be. Because if it's not there, it's not there. If the government's going to bring charges against you, they have to be true. And so it's incumbent upon prosecutors to be ethical, to be honest. And if it's not there, you cut that loose. And if it is there, then you got some choices, right? And a lot of crimes, like we're talking about domestic violence,
Yeah.
a lot of things are a combination of poverty, education, drugs, love, all those things. People have a terrible night and did a terrible thing. Does that mean they have to
Yeah.
get hammered? No. Do they have to be accountable? Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do that. Do some people have to get launched? Yes. Some people need to be in prison.
How often is alcohol involved?
Man, a lot.
Like
a lot.
90%, 95% of the time?
I wouldn't even know.
Really?
But a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a factor.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. That's how we get live. Get a little rambunctious, huh?
Sure. Sure.
Like on this podcast. Sponsored by Stone, apparently, right now.
Or Modern Times. I'm a big fan of this.
Respect. So has jiu-jitsu, I know that doing jiu-jitsu a long time, it's the biggest and best stress relief possible.
Dude.
I can't think of another way. I mean, maybe surfing, or like the
Love
kiteboard. Yeah, like there's some other stress reliefs, but jiu-jitsu is very accessible to all. And how has it helped you in this journey?
Oh man, it is the thing that has helped me the most.
Really?
Because if you look at the legal profession, I don't know what the numbers are, but it heavily outweighs any other profession for substance abuse, depression, suicide,
It does.
divorce,
Right.
by a wide margin.
Wow.
And I've seen a lot of those guys fall off over the years. They quit practicing, they unraveled, they got into drugs, they got divorced,
Really?
and their lives blow up.
And they just get fat, and they can just do jiu-jitsu.
But that's the fix, man.
Yeah.
I'm like an evangelist, dude. I'm
Are you?
telling you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are way more times than I can count that jiu-jitsu has totally kept me from the abyss.
What about
For sure.
in the
For sure.
courtroom? We were just talking about the safe rap system.
Amazing.
You know, I got to learn the safe rap system from Huron and Henner.
Legit.
And it's so cool. And why I think it's the coolest is that one person, it takes two people essentially to wrap somebody up. They created it for hospitals so that they would be able to control a hospital. And Henner said that he got put on a operating table or a gurney, and he said that, okay, I want you guys to put me in the cuffs. I want you to restrain me, and you can start with 2 nurses, and you can bring in as many nurses as you need. And he got to 10 nurses before he just left. He got out of it completely, and they're like, "Okay, we need some technique here. Henner, show us the way." And it's so cool because one person out of the 2 people that are restraining can know the safe wrap system, and then and they can direct the second person who's doing a leg lace, while the first person does kind of like a gift wrap sort of thing.
Well, and so I did their survival tactics, their law enforcement thing, which is amazing. Henner is such a good teacher.
For sure.
And his ability to teach other people how to teach is unparalleled, like really excellent.
And how fast is his delivery? Oh my
fast.
God, he talks super fast.
Court reporters would
This is
hate that guy.
Russell Brunson, the that one sales guy. Oh my God. Court reporters, so they couldn't type his.
There's no way.
There's no court reporter
they
that
would
can
all
keep
yell
up with
at that
Henner. Yeah.
But it was amazing curriculum, like super on point. And what was interesting about that is bared out, is that the people who do jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
actually wind up in less use of force.
Yeah.
And the people being arrested are hurt way less often, and the officers are hurt way less often, so they have less workers' comp claims. So there's a guy that I train with who is the best. He's on our SWAT team, and he used to be a cop in Detroit before he did jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
In Detroit, he was in fights all the time.
Really?
And then he started doing jiu-jitsu, never got into fights.
This is what I don't understand about.
There's a vibe, and then people know.
There's a vibe for sure. There's like a level of confidence that you can sort of
Yeah.
exude. But this is what I don't understand is so when we were learning the safe rep system, they keep people from proning, meaning they're face down
Yep.
and then they can't breathe in that position.
Yep.
And so they get them to their side and then they're never putting pressure on their neck and all this stuff. But the protocol, which I had no idea until they were teaching this, is to get people face down
Yeah.
and to get their arms behind their back.
100%.
And if their arms are in front, which they would be, if you were to push somebody down, they're going to put their arms in front. Now their arms are trapped there, and they have to dig their arms out from under their body to behind their back, and they do it by punches to the side of the face.
Sure.
And so you're not gonna. How can you let go of your own defense and go let your arms go behind your back? It would take anybody it would take a lot of work to make that happen.
Well, now every agency has body-worn camera.
Yeah.
And so the worst thing to see is stop resisting, stop resisting.
Yeah. Like I'm protecting my face.
I wish
sir.
I could remember who said it. I think it's the Jiu-Jitsu 5.0 guys. I'm not sure. They do like law enforcement Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, okay.
Had this like perfect statement that ineffective force looks like excessive force. But Jiu-Jitsu doesn't look like that.
Right.
So we had a guy on our SWAT team who started training with us for a while, stud, but it was on a traffic camera. This guy,
Okay.
yeah, so it was textbook. Grabs this guy, double leg, gets on top of him, mount, done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Nice.
Didn't have to hit him, didn't
Right.
have to tase him, didn't have to do
The
anything.
gentle art.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, man.
It was, so I'm a believer, man. When I was a third stripe white belt, I got attacked by a guy that's 6'8", 280.
Why were you being
290.
attacked?
It's a long story.
In the courtroom?
No. It was at a conference. And so, yeah.
What?
It's a lot, but I will tell you without qualification, I don't know how long that was, like 10 months of jiu-jitsu, something like that. Saved my life. The guy's trying to strangle me. His hands are so big, they're laced behind my neck, and he's pushing his thumbs like into my throat.
Oh,
So I get his
respect.
hand.
A little
so
rape choke from
That's exactly what we call it, the murder choke.
Yeah.
got his hands off, start moving to an arm lock, and then another guy comes flying over the top and tackles him, and then it's all over. But not only did it save me, save my career.
Wow.
Wow. And so I knew at that moment, I even told my professor at Mall Easton, at that moment, I was like, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life.
It saved your life, saved your career.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And it was hard for a while. Like, I remember for the next 2 years after that, it started with he came up behind my right shoulder.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Yeah. And
you had
so,
PTSD, essentially, from that.
yeah, so anytime there was a tall person behind me on my right, like we're standing in line to get a sandwich or whatever, like I really had a kind of panic from it. And it was hard to deal with. Like I couldn't be in crowds for a long time.
Am I tall enough to do that to you, to create that panic?
You're intimidating enough, Miles. You don't need to be doing
Respect, Professor. So I was telling my kids, my sons are 14 and 16, and I said, you guys got to do 6 months of jiu-jitsu, because then if that really is gonna carry you into your life with some sense of confidence and capability
100%.
against anything that could
100%.
happen. It's like it goes along with situational awareness. You know, I mean, you're saying that just the situational awareness gives you some sort of feeling, and so it's going to give them that, and that's huge to me. Like just 6 months.
Just some yes.
Yeah.
It's like learning how to swim.
There's
There's just some
great analogy.
Well, I think Elio might have said that, but there's a few things that everybody in life should just know how to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's like every man should know how to hold a baby, know how to do do Heimlich maneuver.
That's
you
true.
know, like there's just some things like you should just be able to be capable of.
Yeah.
You know, and one of them is you just don't know in this life. Like you get rear-ended, and like I got rear-ended recently, and thankfully the guy was nice. But you get out of the car, there's a moment where, like, which way is this gonna go?
Really?
Sure, you don't know. Like I don't know this person.
That's
I
true.
just got rear-ended. He's mad. Like I don't know.
I've done jiu-jitsu for 25 years, and so like I don't. It's hard for me to feel like how it would feel to not have that sense, that situational awareness, and
Well, here's another blind spot that we have, because we were talking about domestic violence, but
yeah.
in like women experience this every day. Like we never experience it, right? Like I never walk around and I never have people looking at me or wanting to follow me or.
You're pretty sexy, but fair enough.
It's true, right? but at the same time, like you walk through life and that's just probably not going to present itself.
Yeah.
You know, but like you take.
God, it happens to me a lot, but yeah, fair enough.
But any woman, if they have 6 months,
Yeah.
life change.
Yeah, for sure.
So like
For
teaching,
sure. They're dealing with it all the time.
Because like most people quit, right? Like most people quit this stuff. Like they don't even get a blue belt; they quit.
Yeah.
Like almost everybody.
Yeah.
So when I teach, I know like maybe I get 6 months with this person. So in that 6 months, can I give them something that's going to stay with them for the rest of their life?
And try not to leave any holes, like
Yeah.
what to do standing up, what to, how to
Exactly.
escape. I mean, really, the biggest thing is
How
just
not
how
to get
escape.
punched in the mush.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
for
just
sure.
basics, right?
Right.
And you see at the highest levels, those guys that are the best that can still do it into later years.
Yeah.
Just good fundamentals. And it's a shame when you see people that are competing well and doing things well and they can't escape the mount or they can't. Right? But I mean, they
Who are
may
you talking
have.
about?
Well, they may have really great.
Say some names.
skills.
Nobody listens to this.
I cannot escape the mount. But that's a real thing. It's a real life skill, and like life's a lot of pressure, man. So even like everybody in jiu-jitsu feels this. Like off the mat, you get that same stuff, and it's like, okay, now my boss is sweating me, or my wife is sweating me, or there's this thing, and you can just turn down the volume on everything because you're just constantly dealing with pressure, and it's a gift. Pressure is a privilege, man.
Pressure is a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege, and we see it most on the mat, and I think that's why we develop such wonderful friendships like this one.
Yeah.
Is, we're in these positions where I can get crushed or finished or hurt, and yet you respect this, right?
It's the easiest way to get out of anything.
But it's magic,
Yeah.
And so you build these, like, we met this guy earlier today. He's like inviting us to his house.
Yeah, no. We met
it's like
great
there's
friends today for the first time.
Yeah, like instantly
Along
you've
with
got
the
this connection. You're like,
instructors.
oh, there's, I just don't know anything in life that provides that.
No, I mean, man, I say that we talk about that on this podcast all the time. That's like men's groups. There's a lot of men's groups out there, and they're doing wacky stuff. They're climbing under barbed wire and
Having, like, cry sessions?
Cry sessions.
Don't
and
do that.
Doing all this stuff, and man, all you need is a few jiu-jitsu classes, and then that's the camaraderie
Dude.
that you'll build.
Well, and it taps into something that's so important is like we are wired by nature to do hard things.
Yeah,
And our life's not
we're
hard.
much more capable.
Our
of
life is not.
what-
That's
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
people don't know that they're capable.
Yeah.
And so like you gotta have a hot forge to make steel. You just have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't work.
Oh.
So you gotta get pressure, man. It's a privilege and you should take that, embrace it, and then it transfers to everything else in life and it can make you a better person. It can bring out bad qualities, but if done right with the right people, like you're just better for it. I'm better for it.
It's pretty rare. Yeah, it brings up bad qualities.
Yeah,
But,
those people don't last.
You're spitting fire, buddy. You got all types of sayings behind this.
But you've met the guy with like the red mohawk and the tap out shirt, and he shows up and he wants I'm
He
gonna
just
be
wants
the
to
UFC.
bang.
Yeah.
He just wants to bang, bro.
Yes. And you're like, oh, but you're like a drunken toddler. They don't have a lot to offer.
Hopefully they stay in.
I hope so.
But yeah, oftentimes those guys, they can't handle the ego.
And a lot of those guys that
diminishment.
want to come in and do MMA and be that guy, they let it go and then they just want to do jiu-jitsu and they just want to hang out.
I know that's the best.
It's the
right?
best.
When they flip the switch and they're like, oh wait a minute, this is
There's something here.
right for sure. Well, what's cool about it too, the technique, the fact that it is a technique that you can learn. Really, I mean, 6 months, right? And then even shorter, just a few lessons like the women empowered things that they do and that sort of stuff.
Or like with kids getting bullied.
Oh yeah,
Huge.
Gracie Bully Proof is
Man,
awesome for
those
kids.
guys cracked the code on some stuff.
Yeah,
They really
for sure.
figured it out.
Well, I was going to compare it to the Wim Hof stuff. So people do ice baths are real popular lately,
Yeah,
you know, and I see people doing them horribly all the time. Oh, they're tensed up. They leave in this sympathetic state, and that carries. So your sympathetic state carries just like your parasympathetic state does. So, man, if you learn the technique, then all of a sudden it's easy. It's not that hard. And man, that's huge. And it takes a workshop. It takes one lesson and all of a sudden people have this technique.
But what's the magic sauce is this ability to let go. But how do you let go? You have to be balanced. If you're not balanced, you fall over and it sucks. But if you can really let go, whether it's in an ice bath or whether it's under the pressure of mount or whether it's the pressure of your job, then you can kind of balance and move through this stuff. Like rolling with Majid today was so spectacular because he never sticks to something. I mean, the guy was he was a perpetual motion machine.
Goes to the bottom, goes back to the top. Yeah.
Like a kid. It's like a greased pig. It was amazing. Amazing. It's like
awesome.
one of the best people I've ever rolled with. It
Yeah.
was just fantastic.
It was super fun, yeah.
But that doesn't happen if we just assert like one thing, white knuckle all the time. And
No.
where does that ever serve you in life?
Where were you saying? You were saying that earlier too about letting go in other
I have no
aspects of
idea.
life. Do you remember?
No.
I think it was just life in general. It was like work. Like sometimes when things are tough, it's like, man, you gotta just succumb to the toughness, and then
Embrace the
that's
suck.
when you embrace the suck. That's when you overcome.
Well, that's how you and I connected, was the Wim Hof stuff.
Yeah.
I was having a knee surgery and I reached out to you because I heard you on a podcast with somebody out of India.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think they were
Did
from India.
Yeah.
And
Wow, that's how we connected.
Yep. Well, so I'm a huge fan of Dave Camarillo.
Okay.
I love his game. I love his application of jiu-jitsu, judo, and combatives. And so I've always been a big fan of the way he approaches jiu-jitsu. And so I've always kind of followed his stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's this aspect of it. And you're a Camarillo guy. So I mean, social media is kind of stupid unless you have the genuine social part.
Yeah.
Like if I just like your stuff, okay. But instead, I just reached out to you, called you, we talked.
Yeah.
You came out to Denver,
Oh my God.
did some seminars.
So good. The seminars in
Now
Denver were like.
now I got this big barrel of frozen water in my backyard.
That's right.
All my neighbors are like, what's wrong with this guy?
I know you don't even have privacy fences. You're
I don't
just
even
out there just
I don't give a shit, man.
dunking.
Oh, dude, I wear the little silkies. I get in it.
Oh,
yeah,
gross.
That's it.
Oh, is that your no-gi gear?
It's the only way. No, that's the slingshot thong.
The wrestling. Oh my God. Don't do that. That's why I don't do no-gi, guys.
Yeah.
Nick's not gonna like that. No, I do no-gi. That's not true. It's a lot of head grabbing. What's with all the neck grabbing, guys?
What else is there to grab? Your hair?
I know.
Your ear?
There is
What am I
nothing
gonna do?
else.
Fish hook you?
You know what? That's what I see. All the style now for kids is long hair. It's like afros. It just looks vulnerable to me. I'm just like, why would you put these handles all over your head?
You're such a jiu-jitsu guy.
I know. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, especially
Bad idea.
Like, yeah, somebody could just hold you by the hair.
You don't need that.
Do whatever they want to you.
Have you seen those like old Alio and Helston stuff where they have like the hair grabs and stuff?
No.
That's good.
Is it?
They do it for like, lady self-defense stuff. It's legit.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
you
hair
can still
grabs
have
are
some
real.
glorious locks and still do jiu-jitsu, but
Yeah.
but I never see MMA guys do that. They always cornrow it or whatever when they're fighting.
Well, because it's it's a handle.
Yeah, I don't want. You remember Hoist and Chemo fighting?
Yeah.
He just grabbed that handle.
Oh,
Dunk,
he
dunk,
sure
dunk.
did.
And
He
Chemo
lit up
was
his
a
nugget.
beast.
Yeah, man. Just representing Jesus on the back with the cross. I think he came in. Do you remember he came
Our Lady
in?
of Blessed Steroids, don't fail me now.
Do you remember he came in holding like a
Cross.
gigantic cross.
Yeah.
Like a life-size cross.
Like most people are not carrying that.
Yeah.
He's just this
No.
huge guy. He came out with that dude Joe Song. Remember him? Mm-mm. Joe Song got busted for like child sex abuse.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is why, like, when Keith Hackney was punching him in the dick over and over. You remember that?
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah,
he got
you're
like
like,
eight,
yes.
8 to the dick. No, I didn't know.
Yeah, that guy went to prison for sex assault. Like, yes.
Oh my God, that was turn the tables.
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu's got cool history. It's interesting in America because, like, Americans scale stuff,
Yeah.
Like, you don't see, well, I don't know what Brazil's like, but in America, you can create an academy, make a life, you can create instructionals, like, and it's on every corner around here. There's Surf Fight over there, there's another academy down the street.
Within 10 miles there in San Diego, there's probably 30 schools.
Is that why San Diego's so friendly?
Maybe.
Because everybody's a jiu-jitsu guy?
You don't know who's going to come out.
Yeah, man.
No, we're super lucky in San Diego. The Open Mat Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
How many open mats there are on
Ridiculous.
in a weekend? Yeah, I think there's there's probably 40 now.
Yeah, I've met so many great, awesome people just coming to San Diego and training and learn new stuff. We were talking about that earlier. Like
What are
a
your
friend-
favorite open mats in town? Oh, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, just like my friend Ivan over at Victory.
Uh-huh.
Like, he just showed me stuff I've never seen before. It's just novel and interesting, and like, it's like an old math teacher that all of a sudden he's just got this high-level fight IQ. I'm like, man, show me all of this. This is amazing.
I wonder if his students like give him mad respect if they know.
Oh, of course.
They must,
I mean,
right?
They must.
Yeah, no, the boot that you were showing. That
That's Ivan's.
I'll call the baseball bat breaker, because I don't know why nobody knows this already, but the configuration for people breaking baseball bats is the boot that he was showing, but
Yeah.
it's just on the lower below the knee. And that thing is so effective, and I've showed other like high-level black belts, and they're like, "What the? How did we not know this yet?"
Exactly.
And this is just, even still after 25 years,
Still blows my mind.
Yeah, still new stuff is out there.
Every time I find new stuff. I was rolling with a purple belt today. Well, you rolled with him too. He was doing this crazy stuff, grabbing the sleeve and kind of shin guarding it from the bottom. And
Yeah.
he had a whole system of interesting stuff.
He
where he's
did.
like
He was
wrist
making
locks from
something
all
up.
stuff. Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
Because I asked him to break it down. It's like wrist lock here, sweep here, arm lock here. I'm like this.
I just camped out. I didn't experience any of that. I was just like, no, thank you for any of this.
That was afterwards. All I did was stay on top. Like, well, I'm gonna cook the starch out of you for a while because you decided to be here.
That's right.
It's like-
Sometimes you get to do that. That's
well,
fun too.
But man, he'll evolve that game, and we're all done.
I think potentially for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I think one of the funniest things about jiu-jitsu is that bigger. I mean, it's the stronger you are, that helps, right?
Sure.
In anything, but the strongest guys in the room, the biggest guys in the room, they don't get beat very much. And so if you beat them, if you get on top, if you give them a good smashing, all of a sudden you're best friends. Because they're like, oh, that was so good. Like, finally somebody gave it to me. Like, yeah, well, that's technique. I mean, I'm only 200 pounds, but, if you're leveraged,
200
your
pounds of pure
fulcrums-
man.
That's right. Yeah, get to experience the bottom of that for long enough. All of a sudden, that's my favorite. I love going against the bigger guys.
Well, everybody's got their attributes. I once had a big dude. He played professional rugby. It's purple belt.
Okay, yeah.
So like just
Savage.
and he owns a gym. So all he does is work out.
Oh, God.
The sweetheart of a guy.
Okay.
But he once said to me, he's like, I don't want to use strength because I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like, would I tell this person not to use their flexibility? Would I tell this person not to use their speed?
Right.
Like, yeah, use it, of course.
Yeah.
But also, you got to understand when to let that go so you can do some jiu-jitsu, and you don't always have to, like, that's there for you.
Yeah.
That's there for you. So
Yeah.
like when you need that, fine.
Well, that's kind of you're evolving your game. Have you ever had this happen? Like you got an injury, and then maybe you come back, and you realize. So this happened to me. Like I can't remember what it was. It was like a shoulder injury or something. And then I realized I always got up on that right shoulder, and I got the injury from the overuse of a particular move, and it forced me to change my game a little bit, and so it like forced me to evolve. And so then that happens. You can keep the same game
So
and it screws you
I
up.
never understood how to invert correctly.
Okay.
And so I was having back stuff, and your neck would get tweaked, or like bigger guys would smash. And now
Yeah.
I've really understood. My friend Dan Steele explained this to me. He's like, no, don't invert unless their hands are on the mat. So if you can, and then you're good to go. But until then, like, don't do it.
Oh, so
Wow.
you were just getting smushed down
Just getting squished. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this inversion stuff is bullshit. I hate it.
there. I still think that. I don't know when to invert. I don't do it.
Yeah. I think it's kind of fun.
Either on top or on the bottom. I know. You're all squirrely.
That's a new evolution. I talk shit about all that stuff for years. I'm like,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking more like
Don't stay down there
self-defense.
long. Right,
You know?
right, for sure.
And I'm like, well, inversion's probably not ideal for that. Why would I want to practice that? But then you need advanced grappling solutions for advanced grapplers. You don't need it for the mope down the street, but
Right.
I do need it for this crazy purple belt that's all over the place. And plus it's fun, it's interesting, and like we've been doing this a couple years,
Yeah.
and now it's like you find more things to play with and tinker with and experiment with, and then other people that are good at it share things with you, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I could find a position from here. And
Well, you got to create a default. You have to create a what you would do if, like, say you get hit in the face,
Yeah.
and you don't, and then you're not mentally acute, and how would you respond to that?
do you know Hugo Duarte,
Yeah.
the general of lucha libre. So
Yeah.
he was doing a seminar in Denver I went to. The guy's amazing. Everything you touch is going to hurt. It's phenomenal. And he was telling me that he was walking down the street and this guy goes into a gas station and like turns in real quick and actually hit him with the side mirror, and the side mirror broke off.
Oh man, uh-oh.
And the guy gets out of his car and he's all pissed off at him. So he runs up to him and he hits Duarte in the face.
Oh my God.
Knocks him to the ground.
Yeah.
Duarte pulls him into his guard.
Yeah.
Overhook, omoplata, breaks his arm.
Oh my God.
Bro's 63 years old.
Oh,
Like just happened.
that's the wrong guy to just road rage on.
But it's also the beauty of it. Like you're 63, didn't do anything wrong. He's just walking down the sidewalk.
Wow.
Like amazing.
Yeah, man.
Jiu-Jitsu's legit. It's
So
legit.
keep it going.
Keep it going.
How long are you
man.
gonna do it for?
As long as I can.
Till the wheels fall off, huh?
Dude, I'll come
You
in on
gotta
my
stop.
walker.
You
I'll
gotta
always-
stop inverting. You
Well,
will
that's
be
probably
coming
true.
in. Yeah.
There's a place and a time to do it.
That's
There's
right.
a lot of times where it's a bad idea. 51 years old, I can't do that in dumb places.
Oh, respect. Looking good,
But
Professor.
there's a time for that where it's like, okay, his hands are on the mat, his weight is over here, his leg is light. I can get into these places,
Yeah.
very low risk.
Yeah,
Or I
fair
can start
enough.
to assert some stuff. Like
Well,
we
it
were
becomes
playing
a game at that point, yeah.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
we were playing earlier today, and like that north-south, I can invert and get into a K guard.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, there's no pressure on my neck. There's no like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Fair
like
enough.
worst thing that's gonna happen, I bail, you're in side control. Okay. Like we're here, we're friends, it's good.
So my favorite example of like the default that you have to create, I watched a friend of mine do a fight to win, and he got kneed in the face real hard early on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of invisible, like you didn't really see it happen, but it happened. And he forgot everything that happened from that moment. Yeah, no kidding. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but
have.
so he forgot everything that happened. And I remember watching the match and thinking like he seemed to be, he was very defensive. He ended up losing like on points or something like that, but he didn't do anything outlandish. But he just kept defensive, and I'm like, man, why isn't he doing this or that or whatever? And he didn't do anything. And then he bought his team Chinese food that night, or bought dinner, and he didn't remember that. He still was
totally concussed.
yeah, he was still out of it. And I thought, man, that's the best example of you got to create this default of how you're going to behave, which he behaved fine in the match,
Wow.
other than not doing that well. But he didn't get hurt, or he didn't, other than the head. But but his memory was gone until after buying everyone dinner.
And you only get that in the deep waters.
That's right.
So I was training with this guy, we call him Santa,
Okay.
because he's got a big white beard and big dudes,
Oh,
Carlson Gracie guy.
it's a handle.
He's the best.
Okay.
He's a sweetheart. But he's a killer.
Yeah.
And we were rolling, he was trying to get his guard back, kneed me in the face. And I didn't know it at the time, but just like blood everywhere. It was like a murder scene.
Was it?
And we were just rolling until it was like bad. And I remember telling him afterwards, like, man, if your jiu-jitsu doesn't work after getting busted in the nose, it's not jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I mean, that's,
right.
So Elliot one night had us put on gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did he?
and the whole thing was like, all right, you got to take this guy down, but he can tag you, and
Oh, one guy has gloves.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do this every day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that you have to have a little element of authenticity.
You want to know when shots are available and stuff like that.
And also just to know that like getting tagged is not the end of the world.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it can be,
To
of
keep-
course.
yeah.
But it's also survivable. Like people are way tougher than they know. They're more capable than they know. And until you get in the pressure and in the cooker, you don't really know. Like I used to have panic attacks when I started.
Did you really?
Not like a full-on panic attack,
Yeah.
but I get squished, and especially after I got attacked, it was hard for me.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And I remember deliberately thinking, I have to accept this. I have to get okay
How
with
long did it take before you got over it?
About a year.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
You
about a
still
year.
didn't like it? Like your hair would stand up on your neck if somebody tall was behind you?
Yeah. And the worst part is you could just ring the bell. You could just tap and call. You could just walk out. I don't have to come back. I don't need this. I got a life. I got a job. I don't have to do this.
Right.
But
That's
I would have a big regret if I did, because there'd be something that you wouldn't know about yourself, and that's important.
That's
Yeah.
like that Hickson getting rolled up in the carpet when he
Dude.
didn't like. That's crazy, right? So he used to.
That's a different level.
He he had anxiety from being on the bottom, and then he had his brothers roll him up in a carpet and just take.
Show up at my house, the carpet. We're not friends anymore.
No, I'm gonna help you get over.
I'm gonna
it.
help you.
Yeah, you didn't say.
So thankfully, like I've been there before. I remember during COVID, we were training in my garage, and a buddy of mine, he was going through a lot of heavy stress at the time, like bad marriage, his job was going crazy, and I was working a lot of this mount stuff from Lovato Jr., so like this squishy mount. You know? And man, he had a huge panic attack.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was like he.
What do you mean?
Like, had to stop, and like
Did he tap?
couldn't catch his breath. Like, oh yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
like he had like several minutes afterwards, like couldn't be.
Wow.
Like couldn't be around. Just
You
like
did
had
that
to let
to him?
just mount.
Okay. You got a
And,
vicious mount, huh?
well-
You got Hodger Gracie over here.
No. No.
Why are you so mean?
But listen, man.
Okay.
The mount is the submission.
Oh, it can be.
Well, think about it. You
Yeah.
will never get called for stalling.
Yeah.
You can get called for stalling anywhere else. In the mount, your only job is to stay in mount.
Yeah, I love it. I cross my legs under their butt.
And you just stay there and
like a
cook the
rodeo.
starch out.
Yeah.
And if something presents itself,
Right.
then
Right.
that's what happens. But you don't have to do anything else.
No.
And they should be cooked.
Sometimes I don't even move. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing at. I want to tell you two things, but the number one at Mission Grappling Club in San Marcos, where I'm training now. Sometimes, and my kids are there, which is awesome. But they're doing Friday night fights, and they have an ELO ranking system, which is like chess, so that whoever you're ranked against, that changes the amount of points that you get.
Oh, cool.
And they have got 6 incredible, legit size wrestling areas, and then so tons of people can do it at once. And then they're ranked matches, and they only give points for 3 things: mount, back control, or submissions. That's it. That's what you get points for. No advantages, no passing anything. Nobody cares.
Pure.
Yeah. It's just like,
Pure.
okay, these are legit, and if you get them, then you get your
The
points.
position I've started to favor over mount is I go to scarf hold.
Which is like 3/4 mount, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
No, it's from the
Oh, no,
side.
you're
the
right.
Keisugatame.
Sorry, yeah.
So I really got turned on to that at the Denver Judo Club. And then Henry Akins has really done a lot with that.
He's going to be at the Grapplers Retreat.
Oh.
I'm excited to meet him.
I want
I'm
to
gonna
train
go up
with
to
that
him.
guy so bad.
Oh, you gotta come to that one.
I should.
Yeah.
Dude,
You
that's
did a week with him.
That
You
would
get
be
to
amazing.
hang out and pick his brain.
Some of his sequences from that scarf hold, making it work, and his
Really?
entries into it are magic.
No
It's
kidding.
so good. And it's this overlooked position, but in judo,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
The position, yeah.
Well, if you can pin somebody for 30 seconds, you win.
Do you? Okay. In scarf hold?
But also, like, I don't know if you train a lot of judo guys, but those dudes
A little bit.
they're tough, man. And
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It
you get
translates to
but
jiu-jitsu easy.
you get on the floor with one of these guys,
Mm-hmm.
it's a barrel full of bobcats, dude. They do not want to stay on the floor because they'll get stand back up and you can start your tachiwaza again, or your from the feet. So you got 30 seconds to make shit happen. You can arm lock, strangle, or pin. Go.
Yeah,
And,
that's pretty good. That's fun.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, I found like in my game, I can get lazy.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like,
Totally.
dude, like what? Like the mount's the submission. I'm not like I'll just stay here.
Yeah,
like
totally.
top half guard's fine.
So I don't know if I told you this, but as brown belts at Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, we would do facing the threat. Ever tell you this?
I don't know, but I love it.
So it was we'd get like a certificate, like it was legit, and they would take all the brown belts and they'd put them in a room by themselves, and then there's 2 pro fighters out on the mats, and you see them and they're wearing gloves, and you're walking by to go to the kitchen area that they're gonna put us all in, and you have gis on, and they're just hitting their gloves, and you're like, wait,
Raw
what are
meat.
you doing here? Yeah, and they're like, well, I'm here for you. Like, oh my God, okay, fine. And
Explains why you're so tough.
And so what they would do is one at a time, we would come out and we would have to go through scenarios
Gauntlet.
that often involved both of them.
Dude.
And so you'd have to line them up. You know what I mean? Facing the threat. It was a threat. You'd have to one of them. You'd have to take. I'm not supposed to say this stuff, guys. The few listeners that listen to us, this is a secret. But you'd have to. This guy's at the bar and he doesn't want to leave, and you got to drag him off the mats. And then meanwhile, his buddy's coming. And so the other dude's coming slow, and you're like, come on, let's go, sir. And you're like trying to drag him off. And it was so fun. And but I learned a ton from that. Like one of them was you have to be mounted with a guy with gloves, and you can't escape. And so all you have to do is defend punches, which is actually
very useful.
It's pretty easy, honestly. If you get a nice gable grip behind their back and just hold them down, then they get what Hero and Henner would call like a number 2 punch, which is just 2 joints, your wrist and your elbow, and they're not really getting their shoulders in it.
Yeah, kind of pawn it. So Henner in that survival training stuff had really taught a great principle of getting their head offline.
Oh,
that I use a lot from
really?
the bottom. So if they come up, I go behind their head, like sort of the elbow behind my neck, or behind their neck. But then,
when you're in back control.
So if I'm in the bottom of guard and they're throwing punches, and I can get my elbow behind their neck as they come up, they can't hit. But then if we come back down, I have to pull their neck offline.
Okay.
And it's really hard to hit effectively from there.
Oh, interesting.
It's really cool. So you can have this overwrap and a clinch, and okay, I can weather this. I can hang out and make some things happen, or at least
create
survive
space to get out of there. That's the point.
Like in my conversations with law enforcement, is like you don't have to be there forever.
Yeah.
Like there's other people, and so you have to be able to, stay in the fight for long enough. Like I had a case, I was doing the civil side of it. So a friend of mine was prosecuting the guy who, I don't remember why he was being contacted, but serious felon, caught by himself in an alleyway, talking to this guy, he's getting arrested. So one cuff behind the back, and then boom, hits this cop, gets on top of him and just starts hammering away, right? So his only option, pulls out a gun, boom, shoots him. But he's bouncing his head off the pavement, and there's nobody else there. That's all he could do because he didn't have any other skill set.
Yeah.
I prosecuted a guy who is very strange. It was like there's an off-ramp from our interstate in Denver where he's like washing his clothes in this culvert.
Okay.
It's during rush hour, and so there's all these people there that can't get by because there's this dude there. Traffic's terrible. First cop to show up is this female officer who's awesome. She shows up to it. None of the other cops can get there because traffic's so bad. So she's dealing with this guy, and he wants to go downtown. He wants to go to another city, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a lift, but you can't go into a cop car without being patted down because God only knows what the guy's got on him." So she's gonna throw him in the back, right? So he's got to be cuffed, put in the back, and like, we'll take you downtown, whatever. Same thing. Like she gets one cuff on him, hits her, turns around, and just starts beating the brakes out for her, right? Like bouncing her head off the ground, and she's trying to protect her gun.
Why do they all know the bouncing the head move?
Wow.
Yeah, she's trying to protect
Maybe
her gun.
maybe that's what they teach you in DOC. I don't know. So she's like holding onto her gun because he's trying to pull it. And witnesses say he's pulling it hard enough that her waist is coming up off the ground.
Oh my God.
So then he's hitting her. This is getting him nowhere. So he goes to her car to try and find another gun.
Oh my God.
Comes back, starts beating the shit out of her again.
Oh my God, because she's still just sort of out of it.
Way out of it.
Yeah.
So then drinking water engineer and this other guy was like a general contractor get out of their cars and roll them up. Just like regular dudes. But it was 2 people and like a lot of...
She's still a cop?
Well, no, she got medically discharged. She had vertigo for about 2 years.
Oh my God.
Torn rotator cuff. But you know what? This badass still arrested him.
Yeah.
Like she's barely cognizant, got up, cuffed him, took care of business.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's amazing. But it ruined her career.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking at the time, if you were a blue belt,
Yeah.
if you were a blue belt, you could have protected yourself, protected your weapon, stayed safe, maybe kept him safe.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, and maybe he has to get rolled up, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it could have turned out differently. Thankfully, there were other people around that came to her defense.
Right, for sure. Wow. That's wild, man. I mean, that's why I have just a massive amount of respect for cops, and to be able to do that.
Tough job, man.
Yeah, like I think it's a dwindling profession. There's not a lot of people that go into that anymore.
We can't fill academies anymore.
Really?
Who wants to be a cop now?
Yeah, it's just like it's so. Yeah,
Thankless.
it doesn't seem like they have enough help.
I think the unspoken problem of law enforcement
Lack
is-
of training for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, lack of physical training.
For sure. But I think the bigger problem is you have your queue of your calls or whatever that you have to respond to all day long. So we might respond to, I don't know, a traffic stop, burglary alarm. Now it's a kid encased in concrete because parents wanted to get rid of him, and you're all fucked up in the head. Or it's like, or now it's guys shooting at you. You got to deal with that. And then what? You're just back on the job, back on the job. There's no time off.
That's a crazy thing.
So you get into the red line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now what happens? Now you go to respond to something that's not that big of a deal. And
Yeah.
that guy gives you some lip, boom, it's on.
I can
Because
see how
they're
that
always
happens.
they're just always in this like elevated state
Well, it's every day.
all the
They're
time.
dealing with the worst of humanity every day,
Yeah.
basically.
I remember a friend of mine prosecuted a guy who had murdered a dude. I'm not sure how it started. These two kids are outside this pizza shop, and he rolls up and just starts hammering on this kid, this homeless guy. Just
Yeah.
runs up to him and just starts fucking this kid up.
Oh no.
And so this this dude who happened to that didn't sound good. So this guy who
Needs some
another homeless
jiu-jitsu.
guy sleeping in his car sees this, goes to help this kid who's getting the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
Takes a tire iron out of his car, goes to deal with this guy. That guy takes the tire iron from him, caves his face in and kills him.
Oh no.
So then our cop that responds to it,
But this is just, hold on. This is just their kid like getting involved?
so the homeless guy that was living
Yeah.
in his car
Yeah.
saves this other kid from getting the shit beat out of him
Okay.
with a tire iron.
Yeah.
Bad guy takes tire iron, craters this guy's face, kills him.
Yeah.
And then he's running down the street. I did it, I fucking did it. Like just out of his mind. So our cop shows up, body worn camera, gun out. You can see bad guy, and then you can see him put the gun back into his holster. He thinks, I'm gonna fight this guy. Who then beats the shit out of our cop.
Oh no.
Guess who saves it?
Who?
Paramedic.
Oh really?
Yeah, some paramedic in his 50s comes in, saves the day.
Wow.
But in that moment, and I don't blame this guy, and I've seen
Yeah.
this more often than I can tell you. There's a lot of times where people should have been shot,
Yeah.
and they didn't do it. They didn't do it because, like, I don't want to shoot anybody. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
who wants to do that?
Right, for sure.
And so he thinks, all right, I'm going to scrap this guy.
Yeah.
Who's already, and he didn't know he murdered another guy. And you're like, man, you don't know what you're getting into.
Right. It's dangerous out there.
Yeah. A
especially
friend of
when you're
mine,
dealing with those.
this is back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Fresh out of the academy.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like hero
He's
cop.
gung ho.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's motivated.
Yeah.
Goes to a domestic violence call. Back then, they only, like, you didn't have multiple people show up on these things, so he goes by himself. He shows up, and in the front yard, this dude's just beating this woman. So, of
no.
course, Scott's the hero, jumps in to save this lady.
Yeah.
All of the cousins jump out of the house and roll him up.
Oh no.
And his last memory before losing consciousness is he sees a flashlight go over his head, hit this guy in between the eyes, watch this guy's eyes roll back, and then he sees someone take his gun and put it back into his holster. That was the paramedic for the woman.
Oh.
Showed up, saw Scott getting beat up,
Oh my God.
saved him, threw him in the ambulance.
What's the lesson there? Paramedics are more well trained than.
Well, I think the lesson is that, and this is why I think being a police is so hard. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
And some people don't want to live through those interactions. Like they're all in, and
Yeah.
if it ends in fatality, so be it.
Yeah.
Man,
Alcohol.
not a lot of people. Alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, but we're fun
They're not
drunks.
in the right. That's right. They're not in the right state of mind. I didn't tell you about my stripes, the stripe battle at Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh.
Oh, it's super fun. So I just got 2 stripes on my black belt, which is awesome. Thank you very
Jeez,
much.
how long do you got to
super
train to do
impressed.
that, dude?
It's just every 3 years. It's just time.
Oh, tape.
Yeah,
Tape?
that's right.
Oh, my God.
It's expensive tape.
Would
It's
you rather have a
glorious.
Nobel Peace Prize or a third stripe?
Oh my! I mean, stripes are exciting to
I'll
me.
fight you for
I
a
like
Nobel
it.
Peace Prize.
Stripes do make me feel good. But so at Gorilla, we used to do a lot of sessions that were choreographed, essentially, especially at like.
Oh, he does that like threading stuff.
Yeah, purple belt, brown belt. And,
Yeah.
and we used to kind of talk trash about it, to be honest. Like, oh man, these are.
Shut up, John
these
Wick,
are-
son.
Yeah, but then he became, Dave became the stunt coordinator for John Wick 4 and 5, and we're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool stuff that you're doing, and we see why those things made sense. But so the last promotion that I went to, we didn't do any of that. There was zero of that, and it was just basically rolling. And so it would be like there's I don't know, there might have been 100 people there, and so it was the colored belts would go, and then white belts would go, and back and forth. And so we're done training, and Matt Darcy, who owns the gym and kind of the headquarters.
Dude, Matt's the man.
Oh my God, he's we call him.
I've never met him, but I did some of their online stuff. I use
Yeah.
some of his shit
Do you?
all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
He
to
has
hear.
an Osotogari
Yeah,
setup that I use constantly.
he's a scientist
Oh,
for this stuff for
so
sure.
good.
I mean, we call him not to his face, but we call him 100% Darcy because he goes 100% all the time. He's so good. I mean, I have not. When I was having flashbacks when I rolled with him recently because I hadn't been there in a while, and I'm like, you taught me all this, the stuff that I do, like you taught me all this stuff. So I know it's not going to work, but so we
Hardcore, Matt.
we get done with the just rolling. We rolled for an hour, and before I even got there, I said, hey, what are we going to do? What do I need to prepare for? You know, what sequences? You usually at black belt you get to come up with your own stuff, but
Oh,
I
cool.
thought there would be some sort of demonstration or something. And he was like, oh, we're just gonna train. I'm like, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
You're gonna die.
Yeah, I didn't know. And so we had already driven 4 hours to get there because I was coming down from a grappler's retreat. And so I'm like, you know, just car, I'm a little high. I'm like, it's just I'm not prepared to train at all, really. I thought we were just like doing demo stuff. And so we get through essentially what's an open mat. And he's like, hey, what's your wind like? And I'm like, what? What is that? He was like, doesn't matter. And then he throws me in the middle. Everybody's sitting around. There's a few other groups of people in the middle. I guess other people getting promotions. And it was Shark Tank time. But so Shark Tank was every 2 minutes, you get a new person. But hold on, every minute and 45 seconds, you go against one person. And then the last 15 seconds, you get two people. So the other guy gets to come in and take whatever position he wants, essentially, because he can just walk around you. Like, everyone just takes your back and starts choking you, essentially. And I was so surprised how, and so not only that, Matt is within 3 feet of the match, and because he's watching the guys against me, and he's he's pounding the mat, he's coaching him, telling him what to do, and he's reminding them of what I used to do to them when I used to go to the gym.
to make him mad.
He's doing it all.
Make him
I'm
mean.
getting my black belt friends, brown belt, like everybody's coming in. And I don't know how many rounds it was. I mean, I want to say that
That's
it was
awesome.
like, it was 6 to 10, anywhere in between that. I have no idea how many. And then the last round, and so I defended, I noticed that if I would really get out of something or really go for something, man, I was tired afterwards. And so the next person would just have my number.
Maul you.
Yeah, especially when I have to defend literally have to defend a choke every 2 minutes. And while I'm defending a footlock, usually. And then at the very end, the last round, I just got 2 guys for 2 minutes. I had to go against both of them. And then I'm in an armbar and a footlock. And finally they tap me. I'm like, all right, Jesus. You guys,
cool.
yeah, you guys finally got me. But that was last round.
My first martial art that I really fell in love with is Kempo. So I have some teachers from Hawaii.
Oh, respect.
Yeah, and these guys are great. And so my professor, Grandmaster Buell in Oahu, old school, great guy. And we used to do these things called bull rings. And so
Okay,
you'd be
I
in
like
the middle,
it. Yeah.
and there'd be a number of guys around you in a circle, and they would all have a number. 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Okay.
And some of them would have like a fake knife, some would have a club, some would be unarmed, and professor would just call a number. So it'd be 3, they come attack you. 5 and 6, they'd come attack you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just like anything goes.
But wait a
And
minute, they had weapons too?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you
So
have,
it
what
was-
are you wearing?
Just gi.
Oh my God.
So it was really instructive, but then, as you can imagine, things would escalate really quickly.
Yeah.
So you have to stop and kind of bring everything
Would
back
you?
down.
Matt was doing that too. by
Yeah,
the way.
because people get panicked, right? Especially like, okay, now there's 2-3 people all mauling me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like you're trying to stack them up against each other
Right.
and like stay
What do you think about
cognizant of
those
these things.
Russian fights now that are like 2-on-1?
Dude, can I tell
I
you
love
the
'em.
thing that scares me more than anything
What?
is Russian Muslims.
Oh my God.
Those are the toughest human
guys,
beings.
yeah.
Like they have the beard with no mustache. They trained Sambo since they were like 2 years old.
That's right.
They grew up like shooting AK-47s in the air. You know what I mean?
They
like
do.
super serious. And
They
you're
do.
like, oh, you're legit. There were a couple of those guys at the judo club. You're
Were
like,
there?
You're like, oh my God, you're gonna throw everybody in the room. Sweethearts.
They're not worried about
Sweethearts.
Are
but-
they?
Yeah, but man, they take their training serious, and you're like, man, like, there's a black belt of
love
ours
it.
who is from Bulgaria.
Okay.
Just tough, man. Like,
Yeah.
forget. Like, have you ever had an easy roll with the Polish guy?
No, but I heard Craig
No.
Jones saying that the Polish guys are they're always trying to rip his legs off.
Dude, they
Yeah.
go like.
They
I don't know what's
go,
going
huh?
on in Eastern Europe, but they're
Yeah.
just tough people, man.
I mean, that's my people. That's my
I love it.
people. I got some Drinkowskis in the family.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. No,
I love
for
it.
Sure.
So they keep it hard. And those Hawaiian guys are like that too. Sweethearts, but
Yeah. Samoan.
I want no part of that.
Did you ever
That's
watch?
actually one of the things that got me to really fall in love with jiu-jitsu.
What?
So I was really into Kempo when all the UFC stuff came out, and I knew eventually I would get into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But there was none of that in Colorado. There's none of it where I went to college. There's none so it was just a matter of time. But Helson had moved to Hawaii, and he started training out of the University of Hawaii.
Okay.
And so some of the guys I did Kempo with started training with him.
Ah.
And we would always do these seminars in Las Vegas. The Hawaiians would fly up.
Really?
Man, they just like throw me to the ground and maul me. I'm like, dude, Eric Wong, you're not that big of a guy. Like, why
Nelson's
am I
legit.
just dying? Legit.
Yeah,
And
that was
so-
my start.
Dude,
Nelson.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
I used
South
one of his
Carolina.
sweeps today.
Did you?
Yeah,
What
so
was
like
it?
from the side control, when they cross face you, his arm gets straight, your reverse arm lock comes come on top.
Ah, beautiful.
And you're like, man, these
Nelson
guys
was
are-
the best. He was his nickname was Champion. Did you know that? Because
I
he was
didn't
the
know that.
like in jiu-jitsu tournaments. He for 20
Campeão.
years he only won, and
Really?
so his nickname was Champion. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna go down there in 2 weeks and
Helson's place
n-
or Hawaii?
Well, some of Helson's affiliates. There's Todd, HK. I can't remember his last. Todd Tanaka.
Okay.
They have a great school down there. You know what I mean? Like just these wonderful, loving people. But holy smokes, man, they can bring it. You know, and they keep it real. Like he'll hook you in a gi.
Oh, that's rude. No, I know it's illegal
Yeah.
sometimes, isn't it? In something.
Yeah,
Some tournaments
in life.
it's legal. Hey, what do you think of? Did you watch the Craig Jones Invitational? You like those ramps?
That might be one of the most fun tournaments I've watched.
Yeah, for sure. Huh?
Tackett,
Yeah. Oh,
Rotolo.
well, yeah.
What?
I love about the Rotolos. I used to not like them because they were young.
How do you not like them?
And because I'll tell you, because they were young and it was like
Better than you?
annoying that it was so good.
Like
Well, I
you're
didn't think. I mean, they were pretty young when I first started watching them, and I just thought like, man, they're just using a lot of like, just jumping around and using like all their athletic. Right.
thing.
Fair. But then as they became men and like became like even more brutal, then I
You're
started
good.
to really like them.
Ah.
But I love how if they get close to something and they miss it, it just they don't care. They're just on to the next thing. It's hard. Like it doesn't. You see people if you get close to something and you miss it. Me personally, if I get close to something and miss it, I get a little bummed out and I start to slow down. And I'm like, well, shit, I really wanted that thing. Yeah, that was my favorite thing that you just took from me. And I start to slow down. But those guys, man, it's like they will get so close to something and miss it, and then they're on to the next
I
thing.
don't
like
remember
it's
how
nothing.
old they were. They did a seminar when Logos opened up,
Did they?
and so I went because
Yeah.
I dropped
The
in
two of
Logos
them?
a few times. Yeah,
Sideshow Bob.
and man, I still remember I had one, and he was playing with me, but I had him in X guard, and I could not like balance was out of control.
Really?
Like
It looks like their balance
like,
is out
what?
of control.
How is this possible? Yeah. And then the motherfucker hit me with a flying darts.
Oh,
What?
you're kidding.
Oh, yeah. Next generation is a thing.
Oh, I know.
I love those
I think
guys.
that's what it is. It's a little disheartening because I'm like, man, these guys are so good and they're so young.
I'm so stoked for it to see where it can go.
And well, I think what they've proven is that you need a brother about your size, both Tackett and the Rotolos. You need a brother about your size that beats the shit out of you.
Like Musumeci and his sister.
Does he have a sister that's wicked
Isn't
good?
that?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's true, but I
What?
heard that didn't he and his sister just drill like 20 hours a day obsessively?
Oh my God,
and,
I don't know. That does seem like what he does, though.
yeah. Eat a couple of pizzas.
Okay, what's your diet like for? Do you do something special?
Nothing special, but I tend to keep it pretty clean. You know, I'm like hanging out for the weekend, so anything goes. But for the most part, it's pretty normal. You
Because
know?
you've been doing jiu-jitsu 15 years. And you're still on the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty normal.
You know, we were talking
Normal
about
American diet? Gross.
no,
We
I'd
getting
say
some Mickey D's after this or
no,
what?
no. We had a lot of like.
When's the last time you've been to Mickey D's?
I got to tell you, this is the first time I've had a beer in a while.
All right,
So-
all right.
It's a lot of like fish and chicken and rice and vegetables and oatmeal, like pretty.
Oatmeal.
Yeah, I love that,
That is
shit.
gangster. That is.
love that
That's
shit.
so bad for you.
What are you talking about?
Oatmeal is horrible for you.
How is that horrible
Oats, that's horse food.
Horse food.
Yeah, it is.
You ever
Oats,
seen a boner on a horse?
Yeah. They're
Tell me-
gigantic.
Right. Right.
I didn't know it was dick fuel.
Yeah.
all
You like oats now, don't
Well,
you?
You're changing my mind.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So what's wrong about
No.
oats now, Miles?
I don't know. Just look into it. It's bad for you.
What are you
except
talking
for
about?
the horses. Yeah. No, we don't have
What
to.
could possibly be wrong with oats?
It is like hyper carbs.
Yeah.
And so
and it's awesome.
it like just turns into pure sugar the
Yeah.
moment you eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh,
so far,
man.
I've heard nothing wrong.
Yeah, okay. Man, I'm 200 pounds. I eat one meal a day, and I've been in ketosis for like 15 days. And I don't know what people talk about, like you get tired and that sort of stuff. Like it
Well, I
treats
will
me
say
the best.
this: like you got me into this idea of the intermittent fasting kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Like, what's
Yeah.
so my mental acuity is really good when I don't eat.
Yeah.
So
Right. It feels good, right?
But
in
it's-
your first meal, you're like, ugh, I kind of wish I felt like I
depends
did
on what
before.
I eat. But you told me a
What?
while ago it's like the first thing you eat is important.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can't just eat garbage, otherwise it
A big
throws.
thing of oatmeal with
Maybe.
raisins
May-
and
Ah,
like
you-
and brown sugar
I love that
on there.
stuff. Not-
You know what brown sugar? Some
No.
honey. You
No,
know
some
what you're doing.
blueberries.
Some little milk island. You
Nah,
make it a little.
nah.
Oh, I do like a little milk
Oats,
island.
water, blueberries. Good.
all right.
But
Yeah. What do you break your fast with then?
it kind of depends. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
not. It's less of a deliberate choice
Yeah.
than it is just a function of my life. Like yesterday, work was just bananas.
Yeah.
So first meal I eat is 2:00.
Yeah.
So that was rice, salmon, and some lamb.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
You
That's
know,
pretty good.
That was
I think
it.
you
And then
go-
later I had crab cake and some rice.
All right.
That was it. You know,
It's a lot of rice.
it is. I live with this amazing Thai woman, so
Yeah.
rice is a part of my life.
No, fair enough.
But I dig it. So
no, it is important though. What you.
I try to just not like I'm not eating a bunch of Funyuns, that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah. What you
But-
break your fast with. So one day I was, I'll do a workshop all day long, and then, and so yeah, my first meal maybe sometimes then it's at 5 or something like that.
Right.
And I was In-N-Out works. In-N-Out is not the worst food ever.
The Flying Dutchman.
So Flying Dutchman's respect. but so I'm pulling up to In-N-Out, and the line is atrocious. They always are here, right? And so there's a KFC next door, no line. So I hit the KFC, and I'm not kidding. I don't know. I learned about your digestive health on this precious day, because
a fecal rainbow.
I had diarrhea for like a month and a half. I'm not kidding. my gut health just got completely annihilated, and I couldn't hold anything down. And I was like, oh. This is
why.
the importance of like keeping that, because I was empty, and empty. I believe your digestive, your bacteria, your gut health is very good. It likes to be
Yeah.
empty. It's fine. It's like, and then you got to feed the emptiness and sort of build it back up.
Yep.
And I just had a couple of chicken fingers and lots of that hot sauce. I love KFC hot sauce. I put hot sauce on the potatoes. I
You
might
eat
even
like
put it
a
on the-
teenager. You eat like frozen pizzas and stuff, but
Oh my God.
but you're like fit.
I love frozen pizzas. That is my go-to. But, well, you're right. And so now, as
This is
I'm
not prescriptive. I mean, you can't recommend that.
No, I
You're
don't.
not going to come out with a book that's going to be like, don't eat until 5 o'clock, frozen pizzas. And
I used to think that I ran like, do you remember Back to the Future when he came back from the future and he had fixed up the DeLorean with a thing that you could put garbage in?
Oh, yeah.
And it just ran on garbage?
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that I could just run on garbage.
when you're 16, you can.
Yeah, you can. Well, I made it to 45 and
solid.
running on garbage, and then it started to catch up with me. So
That's
that's
the
when I
thing.
started to switch.
You know, my weakness is coffee.
Is
And
that bad?
Well, I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
But I have noticed, like on an empty stomach, that can throw me off. Because I think it's
Oh,
so
you
acidic.
don't do, but yeah, you don't put butter and stuff in it.
You're all about that.
Yeah, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of MCT oil.
Because I remember sitting on my front porch and chugging that stuff.
Oh, it's the
And that was the
best,
jam,
man.
right?
Well, yeah, because and also it's like what a lot of I don't know, yogic traditions and a lot of some sort of like they'll do spoonfuls of olive oil, some sort of diuretic, so something that like kind of lubes up your intestines.
No kidding.
And yeah, man, it's an oil change. You're first after a bulletproof coffee. You empty out, and then you're super good, and you still have the energy and the slow burn of caffeine from
Interesting.
the fats.
I've had kind of mixed results on the bulletproof coffee stuff.
What's mixed?
The gut stuff, like maybe a
So
little
you get all gurgly.
gurgly.
Yeah,
But,
you gotta go half and half butter and oil.
And
You're not doing it. You're doing
I don't
too
know if
much
it's
oil.
related or not, but
What?
cholesterol was pretty high. Maybe not
What do
like
how
super
often
high.
are you checking your cholesterol?
You know, you go see the quack once a year. And they're like, your cholesterol's kind of at this threshold range, but I don't know how useful that number is because there's like, it'd be better to have
Right.
like a scan of my heart or arteries
Right,
to
right.
know like, okay,
For sure.
what's actually.
They used to say salt.
I mean, you just give me a number. Like, well, what does that mean?
right.
Like, yeah, that could be really bad for a person that's on diabetic or whatever, but maybe that's not as bad for me.
They used to say that salt would scratch would corrose your arteries.
Really?
And actually, what they know now, and guys, you can look it up, is that there was glass particles in iodized salt, and
What?
it was the glass scraping the inside of your arteries, which causing scabs, and that's what was corroding the arteries.
What?
I know it sounds crazy.
How is
Look
glass
it up.
cost effective?
I don't know how it got in there or what it's doing.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. You know what my cholesterol is? I don't know. I was hoping that you knew. I've never. Had
Why would I know?
I've never had it
I know.
checked. But I've
done
been
the
doing
blood test.
bulletproof coffee for 10
I've
years.
done
15 years.
I've done blood tests probably like big comprehensive.
Have
like,
you?
Yeah, you go pay for them and they give you like the whole panel because
Yeah.
I ate a lot of fish, so I'm like, am I gonna glow in the dark with all this mercury? Like tell you the temperature? Like none of that stuff was bad. Like none of the iron and stuff was bad, but I wanted like the whole diet panel, and
Yeah.
I've had like those guys. You go see, it's not your primary care guy.
Yeah.
Like, your cholesterol's fine.
Yeah.
But then I
Do
go
they?
see my primary care, and they're like, no, it's got to be within these numbers.
Oh, I don't believe any of those guys.
Well, and that's kind of the
Because they average you out compared to the rest of the world.
And-
so you and Bob, who's 300 pounds, well, your cholesterol should be
Exactly.
And yeah,
and they want to sell me shit. Right?
Yeah.
Because they get you on a
Drugs,
drug,
baby.
and then you're a life client.
yeah.
I'm
That's
not
right.
on any drugs.
They don't want
and
you
I
to
don't
get
wanna
off
be.
drugs. Oh, good. You're not
But
on any drugs.
No, but
Respect.
But that's the thing is like you
Yeah.
get into that kind of system, and it's like, okay, now we're going to get you on a statin, or we're going to get you on a blood pressure medic.
Right.
Yeah, that's appropriate for a lot of people.
Right. Sure.
But if there's other things I can do to kind of like tweak or dial that in, but the funny part is like all those blood test things are all like your testosterone's here. I'm like, yeah, I'm 51 years old, of course. Like, but I don't know what's that supposed to mean. Like, I didn't
that's why
have
I
a blood test when I was 18. I don't know.
I don't like averages. I don't like people. That's all that stuff is they average against the general pop.
But you know what I'm saying, man, is that's
Yeah.
the science du jour now. Like if you go to masters and this stuff, everybody's on that TRT stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I guess so. Yeah.
And I don't
A
know
lot of
that
people.
I don't know that it's bad. I've never gotten into that sort of stuff. I don't have anything against it. I
Yeah.
just don't know is like what's that look like in 20 years from now? What's that like?
What it does seem like is that once you get on, that you're on. And
I don't like that part.
You stop producing it like as efficiently
That
yourself.
doesn't seem good either.
So there is great science that ice baths give you significant boosts in testosterone, which is awesome. So ice baths, and another good one is sprinting.
Really?
We don't sprint anymore, but 8 30-second sprints, which is a long sprint.
Yeah.
So it's going to take you 20 minutes to do 8, and then you take an optimal break in between. That will give you another significant boost in testosterone. So those are my two favorites. So
No shit.
yeah, I do a little bit of sprinting, and I do ice baths all
You a
the time.
kettlebell guy at all?
No, I don't do any. I need to. So it's time to start. I think I'm going to get a DEXA scan very soon.
What's that?
And you'll learn your bone density.
Oh, interesting.
And so I have a feeling that I've only been doing body weights for 15 years. So
works.
yeah, I'm 200 pounds and like everything seems to be working. But I know that bone density is going to decrease over time. So it's time to get back into weights and stuff.
I think kettlebell is the tool for grapplers.
Do you?
Yeah. I can get after it on kettlebells and still feel okay to go train.
See, I'm okay, and I'm alone in this, but like a swing doesn't feel like, I know it activates a lot of things, but it doesn't give me that like workout. Like I'd almost rather bench press or something. Does that make sense?
No, tell me more.
Well, because that's the staple, right? Is a two-handed
the kettlebell swing.
Yeah, a two-handed swing.
Yeah,
but
fundamental movement.
It doesn't feel like, it doesn't like make me sore in a good way. It doesn't
That's
like.
kind of the beauty of it.
Is it?
Why should you be sore?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't want to be sore.
No.
But that's how I feel
You
like
want
I
to be
worked
able
out.
to increase your aerobic capacity. You want to increase your strength. You want to increase all that posterior chain activation.
Okay.
And still be able to go
Agreed.
train.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of a magic bullet. Like, why wouldn't you want all of that? Well, like if I go to the weight
Yeah, I
room
want you to
and I
convince me right
deadlift
now.
heavy and I bench press heavy,
Yeah, you're sore and
I'm gonna
stiff.
smoke the next day.
Yeah.
I do a bunch of heavy squats and then I try
And
to
you're
go
probably
train.
getting hurt.
The likelihood of getting injured starts to go up.
In jiu-jitsu, yeah.
But if I do, and it depends on what you're doing for your swing sessions, right?
Yeah.
Like how long are you doing swings for? How much weight are you using? And you can mix these things
For
up.
sure.
Because like if you want to increase the difficulty without the weight, you can increase the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do one-handed swings.
Yeah.
Like there's
alternative. I like the juggling of them, like when you
so
toss
fun.
them to one to
It
the other.
doesn't even feel like
and stuff.
you're working out.
Yeah, no, I like those. I like workouts that don't feel like working out.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, kiteboarding's a crazy one.
Yeah.
There's a kiteboarding spot up in the bay called what is it called? Oh, it's a little island up there. But I swear it's on a farm. And when you get there, you have no idea it's just in this farm. And then you take a turn, and then you start to see the rainbow kites. And then you see the people that are there. And everybody there has 8-packs that are just, their chins are sitting on 8-packs. Everybody there is just shredded to the bone because I think that core strength for kiteboarding is like #1.
Killer.
And so everybody has 8-packs, and for some reason, there isn't a 12-ounce beer in the bunch. Everybody just drinks 22-ounce beers for some reason. And I'm like, oh my God.
These are my people.
Yeah, I found my people. Just 8-packs and 22-ounce beers. But I love, and then when I'm done kiteboarding sometimes, my hands, I can't even close my hands because I've been gripping so hard, and my
I gotta try
stomach
this.
is rough as hell. And I wasn't trying to work out. I wasn't even trying to work out. I was just having so much fun, and then it was just such an intense workout.
I have to try kiteboarding, man.
Yeah, and you're not far. You're Imperial Beach place.
Oh, I love it
And
down
the best,
there, man.
the best kiteboarding in San Diego is on the Strand.
On the Strand?
That's
Man,
where I learned.
IB is such a great spot, man.
That's
I
cool.
love it down there.
It's like it reminds me of the movie Cars. It's like that town that was forgotten, that the highway shifted.
I kind of feel like going back to high school there. It's like people
Really?
are still skateboarding.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay to park. You know what I mean?
that is,
Dude,
in a
it's just-
beach town,
it
not
is
paying
just-
to park is huge.
Yeah, everybody's rad. It's like, what was it, South Bay Jiu-Jitsu down there, Ronnie's spot.
Oh, I gotta
Awesome.
check that out.
So I've gone in there in the morning a few times. A lot of Navy guys. You got people from Border Patrol or Sheriff's Department. Like, just the whole vibe down there is great, man. It's a very family-oriented place, and
That's
it's awesome.
That's awesome. We'll have to get down there, brother.
Yeah.
Cheers. Speaking of paying for parking, this is 2-hour parking here in Del Mar, and we're probably
Well, we were told to enforce, so we probably should wrap it up.
Yeah. My brother, it's been great to chat.
Man,
Yeah.
always.
So,
When are you coming back to Denver? We can do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw Elliot at the last Master Worlds, and
Oh,
we
nice.
chatted for just a moment. He was wearing like big old beads and
Yeah.
like looking cool as fuck as he
Elliot's the
wants
man.
to. Yeah, he is the man. And yeah, it's such a great time there. So maybe this year,
That'd be
when it
great.
warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to sell ice baths when there aren't free ice baths in the creeks.
I feel like it's cheating to be in an ice bath when the sun is out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how I like it.
That's
why I moved to San Diego.
That's why I like to get up at 4 in the morning and just
Do you?
jump in that thing.
Jocko style?
Yeah,
Oh, I haven't
just
seen
get
one
up.
picture of your watch yet.
Yeah, that's just for me. I just get up and do
Respect.
it. Although I've fallen off the train a little bit, so like your breath work stuff this morning in the garden, which
Did you?
I don't
Good.
know. I don't know how you con the city into letting you do that. That is the
Yeah.
best.
the
It's the best.
Japanese friendship garden, yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's the best, and it's good to kind of get back to that too, because like I like jumping in on those things because I fall off the train.
Yeah.
You go back through those fundamentals, like, oh yeah, I kind of fall in love with it again. And like, okay, I got to make this a regular practice again, because training, man, there's a couple times I've gotten out of some goofy stuff because
Yeah.
you can lower your heart rate.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
for sure.
Like I had this stud purple belt threw me in a bow and arrow in the worst way.
Yeah, really?
And I breathed my way.
Did you?
Man, like my neck was all black and blue because the gi. And even today, like he'll still call. I was like, I don't know how you didn't after that. And eventually,
Little Wim
like,
Hof action.
yeah, it's just like, okay, we can just kind of slow. I mean, it's not going to last forever, but I remember another time a guy threw me in a darce that was just, as deep as they get. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
we can kind of.
Yeah.
It's crazy
if
how
you know
this
it's
stuff
there.
works.
No, it's the magic.
I
It's
just
magic.
don't know why more people aren't accessing that.
I mean, I think it's coming, but yeah, for sure. Like my favorite example of it is when I take time off the mats. I used to get very worried that I knew my next session I would be like almost sick in the car on the way home, because I hadn't been there for a while and I knew it was going to be a tough session.
Yeah.
But I can take a month, I can take 2 months off, come back, and know that I have to focus on my breathing and breathe more in certain situations. But it's like I never left. I came up to visit you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are at 5,000 feet.
Yeah,
I
I'm
did
at
the
7 at my
competition.
house.
7 at your house. I did the competition class at Elliot's. I showed up, and he said,
Good luck.
He was like, "Yeah, this is the comp class," and I'm like, "Oh shit! I just came to roll and drink beers after. What the?" But
And that's what 5280 in Denver. So
yeah, it was legit, and I really focused on my breathing and made it through, and like. I think we were doing a run at the very end. At the very end, he does a little run.
Some burpees
And
or whatever.
I thought that was an intermission, and I was a little sad at that point. I'm like, shit, there's another whole, like, I thought that was just the middle of it.
Here we go.
Yeah, I was like, I got to get it together. But luckily that was the end, and I made it through, no problem. And it all due to breathing. I mean, previous to that, I would be like, I would have
Dogged out.
serious nerves coming in, knowing that I was just going to be just annihilated by the end of the class, and that never happens anymore. So breathwork is king.
I remember years ago we had a airline pilot that just dropped in. He's
Yeah,
brown belt
yeah.
from Florida.
Okay.
So he was at sea level that morning.
Okay.
And he drops in. He's
What did he
just-
say?
Well, he's just going ham. I'm training
Is
with him.
he?
I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
you got to slow down a little bit. It's, you're just at sea level, and it's a thing. Like even walking up the stairs can take your breath away.
Yeah, it's because it's different.
It's different.
Less pressure.
That's
That's the big thing.
People pass out.
It's very specific. So when the air pressure is less dense, you can create a denser air pressure inside.
Really?
Yeah. That's the thing. So it's like if you take a full breath and then you clamp down a little bit, now you're creating a denser air pressure inside. So you actually yourself have to make a denser pressure.
Really?
Yep. So you got to add that to it.
Well, I remember this pilot a couple rounds in, laying on the ground, like just
Was
like,
he?
just gasping for air, and he was like this super fit CrossFit guy,
Was he?
like stud. Like,
Oh man!
he was
See, he
kinda
didn't know the techniques. Was he? He was beside himself.
He was a little surprised. I'm like, man, you got to watch because the other thing, you get dehydrated a lot,
Yeah, sure. That could play
and
a
I think
factor.
that affects your breathing, or how. Because doesn't like
I don't
water.
know. You affect your breathing.
Yeah, but water has oxygen in it.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
I don't
we
know.
Are,
It's like bro science, I don't know.
90%. we're a
I
lot
don't know.
water for sure, but I don't know. You affect your breathing. That's what I do know.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, man. Well, hey, so I have a course that's coming out right now that is on school.com with a K, and it's school.com/breath. And it's free right now. And so for people listening, I mean, pop in now. I'm not promoting it right now much at all because it's free, and I'm going to charge eventually. But the first few modules are out right now.
Really?
And I have the greatest breathing sessions on there ever. So it'll be fun to follow along, and you just play the video, and then there's a bunch of there's videos talking about all the terminology and all that stuff. But you don't even have to worry about that. You just none of the videos are more than like 2 or 3 minutes, because I know we all have only a moment to watch these things, except for the guided breathworks. So I'm gonna give that to you and check it out and enjoy those breathing sessions.
Believer. I hooked up with you because I couldn't train but like my job at the time, I think I had a lot of anxiety about that stuff, and I was having a hard time. Like, that stuff doesn't exist for me anymore.
Yeah, right.
It's true. I mean, even now,
So cool.
like, there's a lot of pressure and work in life, and I can tap into that and let that stuff go, and I don't know. Nobody preaches like a convert, man. It's
That's
great.
right, baby. Love you. Thanks,
Fred. Love you, friend.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
hanging out with me for a bit. That's it, Scott. That's it. We're wrapping it up. Thanks for listening, if you've listened this far. And we're just going to keep these rolling. Nick's going to be out for a little bit, and so I'm just going to meet up with friends, and hopefully you guys enjoy and get something out of it. Cheers.
Cheers.